From its origins as a live-performed local genre to its dominance over the mainstream music industry, hip-hop music has always been rooted in both word and beat. In this video, we'll explore how aspects of word and beat combine to create a common rhythmic feature of hip-hop music: syncopation. This grid maps out part of Travis Scott's vocals in his 2016 song, The Ends. The grid runs left to right. Each row represents one 4-beat measure. Below the lyrics, the terms kick and snare display the backbeat pattern played by the drum machine. Here's how it sounds.
Okay, I got it, copy. 2020, but I can't see nobody. One eye open, Illuminati. This might be the verse that make them drop me. Ain't making friends, we just making hobbies. Know that was my girl, that was just a hobby. Call her 50, tell them load up the lobby. Elevator up, no need to find me. Yeah. X-ray vision.
But we can augment this grid to give much more information about Scott's vocals. First, I bold all the syllables that I hear Scott accenting with his voice, mainly through changes in pitch and by adding space after particular syllables, which I've shown with the blue arrows. Next, I underline common stress locations in all the multisyllabic lyrics. Finally, I shade in which beats are stronger relative to the others. These stronger beats mainly arise from the drums. The bolded and underlined lyrics and the shaded columns are each representing a different type of accent. And as you can see, there's a lot of misalignment between these accent types. Take these stress syllables on the weak subdivision after beat 3, for example. Let's listen again with all this information in mind.
Okay, I got it, copy. 2020, but I can't see nobody. One eye open, Illuminati. This might be the verse that make them drop me. Ain't making friends, we just making hobbies. Know that was my girl, that was just a hobby. Call her 50, tell them load up the lobby. Elevator up, no need to find me. Yeah. X-ray vision.
I propose that accent misalignment, such as we heard in the Travis Scott excerpt, is an important and widespread source of syncopation in hip-hop music. Many scholars have thought about syncopation in relation to meter. Some argue that syncopated notes involve anticipation, that is, strong beats arriving early. Others think that syncopation contradicts the underlying meter. I build on these ideas in proposing that syncopation in hip-hop music is the product of different accent types, found in the lyrics themselves, the MC's rapping or flow, and the beat. In this sense, syncopation is a product of metric structure where various layers of the music are in dialogue with one another. First, let's look at the 3 types of accents, which I'll call word accents, performed accents, and metric accents. Word accents refer to the inherent stressed syllables found in any word's out-of-context spoken form, what linguists call its citational form. Some word accents are so ordinary in our speech that we give them little thought, like money. Others vary according to the dialect of English. In what is loosely called American English, this word would be pronounced police, whereas in African American Vernacular English, or AAVE, it might be more commonly pronounced police. Regardless of the dialect we use, word accents are so ingrained in how we speak that when they are spoken, sung, or rapped differently than we expect, we notice. Next, let's listen to this excerpt from Marley Marl's The Symphony, featuring Kool G Rap.
When G-Rap strikes the mic, I recite the type of hype that you like to make the people unite. I whip off the hips and zip.
Kool G Rap uses rises in pitch, longer durations, and even a bit of extra volume to create performed accents here. In the first line, you probably heard that he raises the pitch to highlight the syllables strike, mic, cite, and hype, and the blue arrows show that these lyrics all have spaces following them. These things make them stand out among the other syllables and draw attention to the fact that they all rhyme. Performed accents are strategies we also use in normal speech. They will be perceived differently by each listener, but generalizing the main ways that MCs use them helps explain why we hear them as accents. This time when we listen to the symphony, I invite you to focus on the beat.
When G-Rap strikes the mic, I recite the type of hype that you like to make the people unite. I whip off the hips and zip.
Metric accents are what we perceive when we listen to music with an underlying pulse. Cheryl Keyes writes that in hip-hop music, quote, "the beat functions as a time organizer around which the flow weaves," end quote. If this is true, then the beat is responsible for not only defining the song's meter, but also its metric accent structure, which is driven by the backbeat pattern of the drums, and shown here with the shaded columns on the grid. What happens when these accent types misalign? Such misalignments are often quite audible, and I encourage you to hear them as moments of syncopation. This type of syncopation doesn't require us to determine whether one type of accent is more dominant than another to our ears. Jeff Pressing devised the term Black Atlantic rhythm to encompass the rhythmic practices of black musics in their African origins and subsequent North American manifestations. According to Pressing, Black Atlantic rhythm involves the intersection of speech and groove, precisely what we have here with word accents, performed accents, and metric accents. A definition of syncopation as involving this misalignment of these accents thus encourages a sensitivity to hip-hop's position in the lineage of Afro-diasporic music and oral vernacular culture. Now let's look at some more examples. Andre 3000's flow in Bombs Over Baghdad gives a really clear example of how accents can misalign to create syncopation. Let's take a listen.
So now we sitting in a drop top soaking wet, in a silk suit trying not to sweat, hit somersaults without the net, but this be the year that we won't forget, 1999.
He places performed accents on his rhymes, which is a pretty common thing for an MC to do, but these rhymes typically arrive right before beat 4. Beat 4 is also where we hear the backbeat, and the syncopation arises by virtue of these performed accents nearly colliding with the metric accents of the backbeat. Let's listen again.
So now we sitting in a drop top soaking wet, in a silk suit trying not to sweat, hit somersaults without the net, but this be the year that we won't forget, 1999.
Queen Latifah takes this idea even further in Ladies First.
A woman could bear you, break you, take you. Now it's time to rhyme. Can you relate to a sister dope enough?
She uses a stream of performed accents occurring right before each beat in each measure. Without the drums, there's nothing particularly syncopated about her lyrics. We might imagine speaking the passage in much the same rhythm as it's rapped. A woman can bear you, break you, take you. But with the beat, these lyrics are jarringly syncopated, almost in a sense rhythmically dissonant. As we listen again, we can appreciate the salient sense of syncopation this misalignment between performed and metric accents creates.
A woman could bear you, break you, take you. Now it's time to rhyme. Can you relate to a sister dope enough?
Our last example comes from No Malice's verse on Clips's 2002 single, Grindin'.
Especially when them 20s is spinning like windmills and the ice 32 below minus the wind chill. Filthy, the word that best defines me. I'm just grinding, man. Y'all never mind me.
Look at the lyrics spinning and minus. No Malice raps spinning by stressing its word accent, spin. And since this misaligns with the metric accent, we perceive a sense of syncopation. But he does not stress the word accent on minus. In fact, he doesn't place any performed accent on the word at all. But look at how it lines up in the metric grid. The syllable nus arrives with the metric accent, but my is the word accent we would expect to be stressed. Even though No Malice doesn't stress my, a sense of syncopation still occurs due to our expectation that he would put an accent there. In this way, we are completing the accent structure of the passage as listeners. This context for syncopation thus involves the tension between where we expect a lyric to be stressed, its word accent, and where we expect a metric accent to occur. With that in mind, let's take a listen again.
Especially when them 20s is spinning like windmills and the ice 32 below minus the wind chill. Filthy, the word that best defines me. I'm just grinding, man. Y'all never mind me.
Just how common are these types of syncopation? Through a recent project where I analyzed 249 hip-hop verses drawn from these two sources, I found that they are indeed quite common. More than 80% of the verses involved some quantity of lyrics whose word accents misaligned with metric accents. Furthermore, more than 60% of the verses involved rhymes being performed on weak beats. This is telling, since rhymes are often stressed by MCs using performed accents. Understanding hip-hop music as an intersection of language, speech, and music, where various rhythmic layers act upon one another, stays true to the genre's origins and development as a performance tradition rooted in both speech and groove.
Could have been me or could have been you too. But what a memory I may needing to lose. What's gonna patch up my inner tube so I can pop a willy and walk it too.